So, hello everybody. Today I'm sitting with Phoebe. Thank you so much for agreeing to having this meeting with me today. It's great to see you after all the sessions. How are you keeping?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm great. Thank you.
Fantastic. So today's mission for the meeting is really to kind of uncover, what was your experience with the program? How's your career going so far for you? And really understand, how did you find the whole process? So, would you mind telling me what was going on in your life, in your career, maybe before joining the program with me?
Well, at the time, I knew that my job was coming to an end. I think it was about in 2 or 3 months' time when I signed up with you. Um, I knew that that was coming to an end, and I wanted to basically make a change. And I knew that in the job that I previously had, even though I really enjoyed it, I knew that I could offer more, but I didn't really know which sort of direction to go in. And when I was looking sort of back at my previous jobs, for me it seemed like a bit of a mess at the time. So I didn't really know like where to look or what to maybe focus on, and that's kind of why I thought about working with a careers coach at the time, because I just wanted a bit of guidance, but I didn't really know what that would look like. And so at the time, I kind of looked into a few different coaches, had a couple of calls with people, but I wanted someone who really kind of understood exactly what I was looking for. Um, and yeah, that's when I kind of met you and spoke with you, and pretty much straight away on that call, I knew that you were on that same vibe that I was on. You got exactly what I was trying to do, and I also then really loved how you approached that job search.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. Thank you for sharing that with us. I guess I do remember the first call we've ever had and the multiple emails back and forth. Look, it was great to meet you where you were. At that time. I remember when you were saying that you were quite lost because you couldn't make sense out of your experience. Yet
Yeah.
you knew deep down that you were looking for something more purposeful. So it was great that we could finally tackle this together. And could you describe what was working with me? Was it the type of work that you've expected when you first joined the program, or was it like a totally different thing that you've expected? What was the feeling like during the whole program?
Well, yeah, because I suppose from that first call and the information you sent me afterwards, the program that you do was very structured. And that's exactly what I was looking for, because for me, I was feeling so lost at the time and literally didn't even know where to start. I was going on these job websites, but I just ended up like doom scrolling on them, and yeah, just didn't really know what to do. So straight away, when I saw the structure of the program, I kind of thought, okay, this is exactly what I need to kind of focus. Um, and then actually, like the the thing that I kind of really got from you at the beginning was the more I put into it, the more I'm going to get out of it. And at the end of the day, it was for me that I was doing it. So
Yes.
I really did want to take the time to concentrate on it and put in the effort and put in the work. And like you at the very beginning, because I felt so lost and I didn't know what to do, was a bit of a Debbie Downer, and didn't really have much hope. And straight away, you gave me that hope, and you were very positive about things that I was negative about in my own like experience. Um, so straight away from the very beginning, I think we got off to a really good start, and it just gave me that motivation. I think to put in the time, put in the effort, and do the work. And it was, I could see that it was going to be a lot of work, but not so much that it put me off, because I thought, well, the more I do, the better the outcome's going to be. Um, and because it was in that structured way, I could kind of see, like, okay, I'll do this now, and I'll do this next week, and I'll do that the week after. So it didn't come across as like being overwhelming because I wasn't supposed to do everything right at that one moment.
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning that, because you know what a lot of people are missing at the point where they're so lost is actually that that structure, really, that you know brings them from one point to the next, to the next, to the next, because so you can actually see the end picture. Like a lot of people that I speak to, they don't quite know where they're heading. You know, they just know that something's not clicking, something hasn't been working for some time. So it's great that you found the structure helpful, you know, in that way. But at the same time, you know, without your effort, without your commitment, again, it wouldn't be possible, you know. So I knew that from day one, that you really wanted this and you really wanted to put your best foot forward and make the most out of the program. I think that's what really made it so successful for you. So fair play, Phoebe, fair play.
Thank you. But I also want to say, like, it couldn't have been done without like your guidance and your support. Like, um, I would have maybe got so far without that, but definitely not as far as I did get. So yeah, you're a big part of that structured program.
God, that's so flattering to hear. But again, as I said, you know, your commitment made all the difference. You know, it really does make a difference when you try your best and then, you know, are open to what the program offers, are really open to testing different things and really being open for change, you know, whatever it might look like, even if we don't know yet when we first start, right? And tell me, was there any particular concern before you started working with me? Was there something on your mind that you were kind of going back and forth thinking, do I really want to do this, or do I really want to do it this way? Was there something like that going in your head before starting, or it was more of a straightforward decision for you?
um, I mean, I guess in a way it was quite a straightforward decision because I've had coaching for other things in my life, so I've always known the benefits of coaching. But I guess at the time, because I felt so lost and like I didn't really know what to do, it's kind of almost like I didn't really have the faith that, not you in particular, but that a coach wouldn't actually really be able to help me figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the time, my belief was my background, my career background, was such a jumble of lots of different things that how could you possibly make sense of it? And then also because at the time I knew my job was coming to an end. It was a part-time job, so I didn't have a lot of money at the time, so I was kind of hesitant with that. But because I'd had coaching before and always gotten benefits from it, I just kind of thought, okay, this is going to be worth the investment, because at the end of the day, if this works and I get a job from this, that money, it's paid for itself. So I want to mention that because I know that that can be a hesitant thing for a lot of people, um, but it's completely worth it because from my experience, it will pay for itself, and I can say that now coming at the end of it. And I kind of, because of your support and your um, at the very beginning, you were very like, I have absolutely no doubt in you, and you know, you were always so encouraging that it kind of made me think, okay, you know, it will pay for itself, and this is an investment that is totally worth making. um and yeah, so I had the kind of natural little hesitations, but I could really see the value. And I think because I'd spoken to a couple of coaches before on different calls, and a lot of them didn't necessarily have that structure. So I couldn't really see how it was going to end as such. And I couldn't
Yes.
really see how it was actually going to work. Whereas with your program, because you literally said, you know, bit by bit, this week you'll do this, that week you'll do this, I could actually see why I would end up with something at the end. So that really helped kind of make that decision as well financially too for me.
Yeah, and you know that makes complete sense. You know that investment part is really what can be putting a lot of people off. You know, and even before I became a coach, I've invested in coaching myself, and I literally went through the same thought process. I guess it needs to be done. But since you spoke about the results, and since you spoke about paying for itself, would you mind kind of telling a little bit more about the milestones maybe that you've achieved, both when it comes to the work itself, but also kind of your personal milestones as well, just so maybe whoever's listening to this, they can kind of understand on a deeper level what would be the outcome of the program, what would be the benefit of actually joining that coaching and mentoring support in their career.
Yeah, so I suppose people will obviously come to you for different reasons. They might be in a job where they really like what they do, but maybe their boss is horrible and they want to move company and things like that. Whereas I was in a position where I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had loads of experience. I've got like a few qualifications, so I could have kind of picked and chosen a few different kind of routes, and that's what kind of made it difficult for me to decide. And so I honestly just did not have a clue, and I didn't really have anything in mind. And it was only through working with you and doing the work that you were encouraging me to do, firstly on myself, because obviously, at the very beginning of the program, a lot of it is to do with like who I am, maybe like my skills, my values, all those kind of things that I actually, people don't usually sit down to think about those kind of
No,
things a
they
lot of the
don't.
time. So it was a really good exercise to do at the very beginning. And there's absolutely like what I ended up kind of going down, the kind of road I ended up going down, just let people know, is project management. But that was literally never on my mind. Like I would never have come to that conclusion without doing this work. And as soon as you kind of like said it, and as soon as I started looking into it, I was like, this just makes so much sense. Like, how did I not think about this on my own? But I would never have thought about it unless I had done that work. It just wouldn't have happened, and I would have ended up in a completely different job doing God knows what. Um, so it was a really different way of like approaching the job search and kind of really focusing on it, because I think, and I don't know if a lot of people are the same, but for me, I can make a lot of like panic decisions
Mm-hmm.
and just think like, okay, I just need to get a job and I'll just take this one for now and I'll figure it out later down the line. And I've kind of done that for the last few years. And so I really just wanted to take the time now to focus. And, that's why I wanted coaching, and that's why I wanted a program like this, because I knew that that was going to help me kind of focus on that. So it took everything that I've done before, it made sense, um, and you were very kind of like sensitive to like what I was really needing, that kind of environment that I was kind of looking for as well, because it wasn't just the job. For me, it was a lot to do with like the people I work for, the type of company. Just because I've worked for lots of different people in different companies, and I kind of knew sort of what I liked and what I didn't like, and so to get, again, kind of really have the time to actually like focus on that and have that kind of belief and guidance and support to kind of be like, you're going down the right road, even if you don't find it straight away. This is the road to go down. And yeah, it was really great to just have that sort of almost like being allowed, like being given permission to follow that. Whereas if I didn't have someone like you behind me, I could have maybe had that thought and it might have just been and gone, and I would have gone down something else. So it was a really different approach to looking for a job, and I think that's what I really needed, because I'd done the kind of traditional approaches before and it never really worked out for me. So yeah, it was just a whole new way of approaching it, which was amazing for me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Phoebe. I think that's very, very often the case with people where they start to look for the job titles and the roles. They look at the job description and they think, yeah, I could probably do that, apply, and that's the end of their reflection on what they want to do. Versus, I always say we need to take two steps back sometimes to make the 3 steps forward, and in your case, that worked out absolutely amazing. Because could you compare your career situation very briefly before you started the program and where you are as of now?
Yeah, and so when I first started, was I was working part time in a gallery, which I did like, but again, like I kind of said before, I kind of knew that there was more that I could offer. I've done
Yes.
years of work, years of experience, um, and yeah, I kind of just wanted to kind of make more use of those skills and that experience that I had. Um, and while I did like that job, I did feel a bit lost in it. I kind of knew it wasn't exactly where I should be.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then going through obviously the program and doing all that work on myself and the research, and like obviously like a big part of that, because there was lots of um, things to do, and one of those things to do was to kind of work on my LinkedIn profile, which I had like some stuff on it, never really thought about it. I kind of shoved some things up there, never really particularly used it, and I kind of thought, okay, I'm going to really improve my online presence with that. And so I did spend quite a bit of time really honing in on that, and like we had emails back and forth being like, is this okay, is that okay, does this sound right? So that was a really big part of it for me, and it was actually the thing that ended up being the reason why I got my job now. So I've recently been offered a position. It's a project management position with a creative agency in Dublin, and it honestly it couldn't have worked out better. And I'm still kind of pinching myself, thinking like, is this actually real? Because it's exactly the thing that I was looking for. And even though I kind of was thinking at the time, like, yeah, okay, I'll just kind of search for this thing, but it probably won't really happen, and I might have to do something else for a little while and then kind of get this thing. And but it's exactly the kind of thing that I was looking for, and particularly, like I said, like in terms of the type of company. So not only is it like the job I was looking for, but the type of company I was looking for as well, and the values that they have and how they work. It's a creative agency, so I come from a creative background, so I really wanted to be in that world again. And yeah, it's so strange that it kind of has worked out. But like you said, because when I was offered the job, I contacted you, and you reminded me that like I had put in the work, and that's why I kind of attracted something like this. But for me, I was still like in disbelief, like, really, like I don't know.
I
I was like,
remember.
I'm really, I was hoping for the best, but I was also kind of expecting the worst in a way, so it's yeah, from, I'd say like you could even probably attest to it, like my attitude when we first maybe hopped on a call back in like October last year to now is just, it's completely different. So yeah, and I wouldn't have, there's no way that I would have got this far and been offered this job without your help. Like there's just no way. And I'm not just saying that, to try and encourage other people to sign up and stuff. It's genuinely true. Like there's just no way I would have done it without you.
But I just wanted to remind you that it's not about capability, but it's, we've never been told how to look properly for a job, what things work. And I think the beauty of the program is that because so many people went through it, the knowledge is there, and you had the tools to actually make up your own mind, choose your own direction, and then follow through the process with the accountability, right? So
Yeah.
you've done the work, you've put in the effort, and now it just paid off. So I just wanted to say it out loud that I'm so proud of you and the progress that you've made. I have no doubt that the job will be absolutely flying for you because, again, because of the work, we know it's exactly what you'll be thriving in. So I am just so 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 happy for you. You don't probably even know how happy I am for you. And tell me if if you had to tell someone, you know, who's on the verge of getting that support, what would you say to them?
It will only ever benefit you. Like, doing this program is not going to set you back. It's, yeah, it will only ever benefit you. Um, for me, even at the time, for me, it was, you know, when I was first signing up, I kind of thought it's a bit of a no-brainer. But definitely now that I've been through it and I've got the result that I was really looking for, it's an absolute no-brainer. Um, and you know, even, you know, it did take a while, and you know, I had, I suppose, maybe the privilege that I could take a little bit of time to really kind of look into this and do this for myself. So you know, this has been, we first signed up, I think, in October, um, and it's April now. So it did take me maybe a little while. Maybe other people it might be a lot quicker for them, but it was totally worth it, and it's given me, you know, that like, even like things like confidence, you know, to even have, you know, the courage to apply for certain jobs and stuff. Like, I would never have done that before without your support. And you know, you were very kind of matter of fact about things as well, and you know, you broke things down, because I would sort of say like, oh no, I couldn't do that, or like,
Yeah.
you know, God, I wouldn't even dream of applying for something like that. And you would break it down and be like, look, this is what they're looking for, this is what you've done before, like, it matches. Whereas in my mind, I would never have made that match. So yeah, it was nice to just sometimes be like, pointed out the obvious, because sometimes I think with ourselves we don't see it. So it's nice that someone's there like, no, look, you've done this before.
Yeah, I guess, you know, we never pat ourselves on the back, do we?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and it's nice to just have somebody who's like really focused on that with you. Whereas, you know, things like you know, friends and family, they can be encouraging and stuff, but they don't actually really know, and they're not going to really sit down and like look at your background with you and make those kind of correlations. And I remember even saying to one of my friends when I'd signed up with you that I'd signed up, and she was kind of like, would you not just, you know, ask ChatGPT and, you know, get help there? And
Typical.
I was like, no, like, there's just no, like, coaching is a whole different thing. I was like, yes, you can ask ChatGPT to write a CV for you, but that's only going to get you so far. I was like, that's, it's just, it's not the same thing at all. You need that person there. I certainly did anyway, to be there on the call, be there on text throughout, give me that encouragement and support, and actually properly just have conversations about stuff. I feel like sometimes you're like almost my therapist in a way.
No, like I always, you know, develop very close relationships with the people I work with, because to be honest, like there is no other way. Like people think that your job is a job, but really it's not really, because like it's the energy that you have at the end of the day. You know, it's is the time that you have or do not have for the things that you love. It's, you know, it's a whole bunch of things that we don't normally think about. So it's much more than a job. So it's, again, it's much more than ChatGPT.
Yeah, and what I will say to people is, and I was saying this to, you know, my friends and stuff, I was like, she genuinely cares about my career. I was like, there's just, I was like, she's not just there to tell me what to do and then off she goes on to the next one. I was like, she is genuinely like invested in how my future looks. So yeah, like, you were, you, and you, I got that from you from the very beginning, which I didn't get from some other coaches that I had kind of had sort of initial calls with. I could kind of tell um, with you that you love what you do, and you are there to help, and you are there to support, and you are there to guide. And that's just like throughout. So every session that we had, or the emails and things like that, that was always the vibe that I got from you. And even though sometimes I might have been a bit annoying, you know, sending you stuff, I never got the vibe that you were getting with me. So I could just tell that you were very genuinely invested in me, and that really helped as well. So I
Well,
just want to
thank
say
you
thank
so
you for
so much, Phoebe, and I really do appreciate that you appreciate that.
that.
So thank you very much for saying it. And tell me, like, obviously we could be talking for hours as we always do, but tell me, could you say in one sentence, how was your experience, or what would you say to somebody who's just maybe starting their career transition journey? Is there anything in particular you'd like to leave the listeners with?
Yeah, I would say trust the process because, there were moments that I doubted, not the program, but I doubted myself. Um, there were times where I got maybe a bit frustrated with myself and maybe what I was looking at, and I questioned myself a lot through it. And like people who go through this will probably do the same at some
Yes.
point. There's always a moment I think where you're like, oh my God, am I doing the right thing? Or what's going to happen? Or there's a kind of a moment where you kind of panic and just think like, maybe it's not going to work out the way I want it to work out. And maybe I should just, do something else. But yeah, so I would say trust the process, go through those motions if you come across them, and just know, like I said, that it will only ever benefit you to go through this. And as long as you get out of it what you put into it, definitely. So don't rush through it. Take your time, really focus on it, get the most out of it that you can. And I can't see why it wouldn't happen for that person as it has happened for me. So yeah, trust the process is what I would say.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sure a lot of people will find it very beneficial. So, look, I wanted to wish you good luck in your new job. You're starting that soon, I know that. So, look, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Of course, we will be in touch.
Yes,
And
definitely.
look, congratulations again and good luck. Okay, thank you very much, Phoebe.
Thank you. Thanks, Anna.